Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. The morning sun was streaming into the room through the window as I slowly opened my eyes. Looking in the other direction, I saw Marcy's back, covered only to the waist with a blanket. Her skin looked soft, it was soft, but unlike my wife Sharon's skin, it was, well, more dense, without a protruding spine and shoulder blades. She's not fat or anything, it's just, I don't know what to call it, a little overweight, I guess. I think the fact that I turned my head was enough to wake Marcy up because I heard a quiet hello from her lips. Then she rolled over and kissed me lightly on the lips. Sorry, morning breath, she apologized and got out of bed. Standing there and looking at me, showing me her body, she asked with a thoughtful half-smile on her face, "Are you okay?" "Yes," I replied, but I wasn't sure if I was being truthful. "I think I can smell bacon." "Oh, great, because I'm really hungry. I wonder what Sharon makes for breakfast? I think we'd better go downstairs and take a look." Marcy and I got dressed, wearing the same clothes as last night. It was late spring, so Marcy didn't have many clothes, and neither did I. My fresh clothes were still in our master bedroom, not in my son Brett's bedroom where we were. Brett wasn't here, of course. He was in the dorm at the University of Pennsylvania, where the exam week was supposed to be. I needed to pee in the morning, and Marcy followed me to the bathroom in the hallway. I don't think it was strange for her to use the bathroom at the same time as her husband Tim. There was a tube of Colgate toothpaste, but there was no spare toothbrush for her, so she put some toothpaste on her right index finger and brushed her teeth somehow, glancing at me and smiling while I peed. Sharon and I had never used a bathroom together, except for taking a shower together sometimes, so it was a little weird for me, but what could I do? Then she took a sip of Listerine, spat it out, and plopped down on the toilet to make her morning toilet. At least she wasn't trying to relieve herself. That would be too weird. Anyway, I left before she finished and went down to the kitchen. "Good morning, Sonia. It's time to get up. How are you feeling this morning?" "I'm doing pretty well," I half lied. "Where's Tim?" "He ran to the Wawa on South Street. On such a sunny spring morning, you need to drink Wawa coffee." A wide, happy smile shone on Sharon's face. "Well, yes, Wawa coffee is always good." Tim came through the door with 4 large coffee cups on a tray. The Vava coffee from the store is always better than the Vava K-cups that we can buy for our Keurig coffee maker. "Hi, Roger." He smiled at me, "Hot and black, as you like," and handed me a cup. Like the rest of us, he was wearing the same clothes as last night. Well, not everyone else. Sharon was wearing a short red satin robe that I gave her. It covered her ass and maybe the top third of her thighs, and I always liked to see her in it, but I could only see it in the mornings when the kids weren't home. When she turned away from the stove, of course I looked at her, because she really looks great. But then I regretted not checking on her because I saw a thin trail of fresh liquid running down her right leg. Heck, I knew she made love to Tim last night, just like I used Marcy, but they must have made love again this morning. It's one thing to know that they were making love, but it's quite another to see direct evidence, which is somehow disturbing in a different way. Then, at some point, Sharon stood up, took Tim's hand, and they headed upstairs. "Go to your room, you two," she laughed over her shoulder as they went upstairs. "That sounds good," Marcy told me in a half whisper, and then she stood up, too, pulled me by the hand, and led me upstairs. I didn't resist, but I noticed that yes, our bedroom door was closed. Maybe if I were sober, I would care. At least Brett's bedroom and our bedroom aren't separated by a wall, so I couldn't hear them. Sharon loved making love, but she, and both of us, learned not to talk about it when we had children. I always thought Marcy was good in bed, but I didn't really know anything except that Tim was pretty happy with her. I thought I did a good job. She understood that she needed to be quieter because she has children herself, but I saw how she clutched the sheets in her hands, clenched her teeth, and just stared at me intently. I really had to hold back when she said, "Let's switch," and wanted to be on top. This short distraction worked like a miracle, distracting me a little from the tension I was in while Marcy threw her left leg over me and climbed on top of me to ride like a horsewoman. Moreover, I knew that I could hold out in this position for quite a long time. When my moment was finally over, I flopped back down on the mattress, on my back, and looked at Marcy, who was lying on her stomach and looking at me with big brown eyes with a very sweet smile on her face. Beads of sweat glistened on her body, as well as on mine, and there was a sincere smile on her face. I couldn't help but be happy, but underneath that joy was worry. Worry that I had messed up everything. However, this did not prevent me from sleeping, because after such tension, Marcy and I fell asleep pretty quickly. Well, it was last night, and everyone was half drunk and mostly high. But it was morning now, a clear, sunny morning, and everyone was sober. Pancakes with bacon and buttermilk. No syrup, just butter, and good coffee. Did I mention how much I love Vava coffee? And yes, I was pretty horny making out with Marcy last night, but one thing was clear. Sharon pulled Tim to his feet and took him upstairs, and Marcy and I were told to go to the room. I don't know if she discussed it with Marcy, maybe even planned it in advance, but it was absolutely Sharon's decision. I just went with her. So to speak, I suppose. Was it treason? I think not, because there was no pretending, no prevarication, it just happened, and everyone knew about it, and I committed adultery as surely as she did. Hell, I didn't even hesitate. This morning we laughed as usual, but no one used hints. Sharon asked me how I was feeling this morning, and I replied that everything was fine before Tim came in with coffee and Marcy came downstairs, but I was worried, really worried. My wife had just accidentally slept with someone else and hadn't even asked permission. She just decided and gave me permission to sleep with another woman. Was it compensation or something? Breakfast ended pretty quickly, and Tim and Marcy had to go home to take a shower, change clothes, and do their usual morning chores. Marcy kissed me goodbye, but it was a friendly kiss on the cheek, modest enough, but not vulgar, and she did it many times. Sharon and I loaded the dishes into the dishwasher, but she said she would turn it on after we took a shower. And we went upstairs. The only thing we have is a nice shower for two, and she hinted that she could use a man to wash her back. In one robe, she was able to just take it off, and it took me a few more seconds to go into the bathroom, and those seconds were hard because when I entered the bedroom, I saw this. A very dirty bed. Our marital bed, in which she made love to another man. Yes, I slept with Marcy, but it was in our son's bed. Did it really make a difference? Was I getting hung up on the details, making what Sharon did seem worse than what I did? Of course, the shower together was pleasant and fun, and we didn't say a word to each other about last night. Still, I was trying to process what had happened. I knew that I had committed treason in the same way as Sharon, and I liked it, but for some reason my betrayal and Sharon's betrayal did not seem to be exactly the same crimes. Yes, she started it, but I continued. But there was also a part of my brain that believed that adultery was a more serious crime for a woman than for a man. One evening, Sharon asked me a question that I didn't want to answer. "Roger, you've been kind of quiet all day. Has something happened?" "Well, I do not know. Is it because of last night?" I hesitated, not wanting to tell her the truth, but eventually replied, "Yes, it is." "Do you regret it that much?" "Oh my God, you did sleep with Marcy, didn't you?" "I just assumed that you did it, but if it didn't happen—" "No, that's not the point. Yes, we made love." At that moment, my wife came up, hugged me and said, "Look, you don't have to worry about me preferring Tim or anything like that. Yes, he was different and it's interesting, but I'll always choose you. Is he no bigger than me?" I kind of laughed too. Damn, I didn't even think about it. Really? Yes, it's true, at least for me. Marcy never talked about it, and I didn't even know until last night. But if you don't like what happened, let's just decide that we won't change anymore. Agreed? Yes, it's settled. Okay, I'm going to call Marcy and tell her that, yes, it was fun last night and all that, but we better not do this anymore. That was the end of it. I didn't want to talk about it anymore, and Sharon, well, I'm not sure if she wanted to say anything else, but if she did, she kept quiet anyway out of respect for me. Tim and Marcy? Sharon didn't seem to consider what had happened to be a serious mistake or even a mistake at all. For her, it was just a little entertainment on the side, nothing to worry about. I don't know if Tim and Marcy thought it was a mistake, because the subject was never brought up again. Me? I was still struggling with it. I knew intellectually that it wasn't cheating, because everyone knew what was going on. Nothing was being hidden, and I was committing adultery to the same extent as my wife. But the mind is not always the same as the soul, and that's what I've struggled with. And I don't think I've ever accepted the idea that a wife making love to another man is no worse than a husband making love to another woman. After all, a man whose wife sleeps with someone else is called a cuckold, but no one ever says that about a woman whose husband has a mistress. If I had shared this thought with Sharon, she would have laughed and called me a pig, which I probably am. We didn't break up because of that. We're still married. But somehow I don't think I'm as happy as I used to be.